CBSE Board History, Chapter 8, Part 11, audio by Renee Matthew. We have almost come to the closure of this particular chapter, and it is the fifth part of the chapter. The title is Designing the National Dress. We saw that this chapter is divided into five parts, and this is the fifth part of the chapter. And we need to see if there was a revolution behind the designing of our national dress, who all were involved in it, because the other parts of the world showed that there was a lot of revolution and a lot of controversies when people succeeded in wearing something comfortable. So, did we have a problem like that? And did the foreigners really have an involved part in it? So, let's see how this chapter is going to proceed. As nationalist feeling swept across India by the late 19th century. So every slide mentions this century, and throughout your text, this particular century is continuously repeated, 19th and 20th century. And this was a time when people started feeling for their country, because when you lose something when you have in life, that is when you really understand the importance of it. You will not realize the importance of something when until you lose it. This is what the Indians also felt when they were colonized by the Britishers. They understood how much they loved their country, and it was a time of realization for them when they were closely bonded to the soil and to the country, and nationalist feeling of patriotism was sweeping the country, and it was like fire which just spread from one place to another. So because of that, cultural symbols developed all across the country to emphasize on the unity of the nation. And how was this brought about? To show that you are united as a nation, to show that something is uniting or bonding a group of people, we develop a lot of symbols. It can be slogans, it can be dress, it can be the social and political rules that we design, it can be anything. So initially, even before we got the independence, even before we were bonded, or we realized that we are bonded as a country, what were the steps taken by some of our leaders and some of the people who lived long back to show that they were having these nationalist feelings? So one day they did not decide that, okay, now I will show that I'm having this nationalist feeling and I will develop all these things. It was not like that. People really felt the need to change things, and that is why they took all these steps. So what is the first one? Artists looked for a national style of art. So instead of taking all forms of art from different parts of the world, they really thought that they have to develop on a national style of art where you can say this is Indian art, or it is very distinctive. It has got distinguished features which clearly says that it is Indian art. Poets wrote national songs. So this is the first time where people really wrote songs. It was in the form of poems in the beginning, so a lot of rhymes and a lot of imagery, deep meanings were there. So when they really felt that there was a need for national feeling, it just flowed. You must be knowing that people don't write songs or poems saying that, okay, I'm going to write something, I'm going to express my national feeling. It is not like that. It is a spontaneous flow. It just flows like that because of the inner desire, inner feeling that you have to express something. Then a debate began over the design of the national flag. So now they decided that they need to really develop something to show that this is the cultural symbol of being a nation with such rich cultural heritage. And that was the development of the national flag. The search for a national dress was part of this move to define the cultural identity of the nation in symbolic ways. So, similarly, we saw how the national style of art was going to be found. Poets wrote songs. Then there was a debate over the national flag. So, now we come to the main part of our chapter, that is designing the national dress. India is divided into so many states, and we know even before the independence, people really knew that this was a country which was bonded and tied by so much of culture. We had space for so much of religion, so much of beliefs, and even the dress varied from place to place. So, still, we experience this feeling of unity. We have a feeling of patriotism that we share, though you're from the north or from the south or from the east or west, right? So, in spite of a rich variation in culture, dance, dress, we have this feeling. How did it all start? So, apart from this, dress was also playing a major role. That is what the text is trying to tell you. First, we have the Tagore design. So, you are very familiar with Rabindranath Tagore, a famous person who was involved in the struggle. Also, he was the first person who was involved in writing songs, composing poems, a great writer, a great philosopher. So, what is this Tagore design? You may not have heard of the Tagore design. Of course, we have heard of poets and songs which were composed by the great poet, but let us see what is this Tagore design. Self conscious experiments with dress engaged men and women of the upper classes and castes in many parts of India. So, you should understand that people from all the castes were sensitive, especially people from the upper caste were double sensitive because they were very conscious whether they were mingling with the people of the lower caste, whether they were dressing in the style that was meant for the higher and upper class to show that they have status. Even now we see people like that. They will say, I have to protect my status, so that is why I'm going to dress like this. We are seeing people of such kind even around us. I don't think there is any requirement for it, but that is a part of their identity. So we had people belonging to that kind of characteristic even in those days, where they were really conscious about the way they dressed and they presented. Of course, presentation is very important, but when you become very conscious about it, it becomes very finicky. It will actually be very uncomfortable for the people who surround them, right? Yes. So, the Tagore family of Bengal was very famous. They were very rich and they had a national identity. They had culture which was really very famous. They experimented beginning in the 1870s with designs for a national dress for both men and women in India. So it was not a part of their pride to design. They did not sit and say, okay, we will design everything for India. It is not like that. This family was already involved in many things which was of national importance in the nation. So because of that, this family was very famous. And of course, it is the family of Rabindranath Tagore. So they were interested in designing dresses and they were also very important in bringing up reforms. It was a revolutionary family where so many reformers were involved in that family. So because of that, they decided to design, or they experimented with so many patterns. And you should always remember that everybody will not experiment in life. They're not ready to do that. Even now we can see that. How many people around us are ready to really take risk in life? When I say that people are experimenting with new things, they're also taking risks. So this Tagore family was really ready for taking experimentation in life. And what did they do? They experimented with clothes and designs. Rabindranath Tagore suggested that instead of combining Indian and European dress, India's national dress should combine elements of Hindu and Muslim dress. So we saw that there were three reactions which the Indians gave to the style of dressing which was proposed by the Britishers, or the fusion dress. So there was a group of people who said that we will not go for fusion, we will not mix up the Western and the Eastern culture. So even Tagore told himself that let us not have this mixture, okay, of both Indian and European. Every time it is not looking good. So because of that, let us have a dress, or let us design a dress which gives us an identity as a nation. That was a good idea. It sounded like a good idea. Can you see this picture? You must be really familiar with all the three, especially the third one. What is the third one? Yes, the famous sherwani. Still, we all wear it for festive occasions. So the first pattern is known as chapkan, and it was prominent from the early British Raj up to the late British Raj. Then we have got the achkan from the mid British Raj to late British Raj. So look at the pattern. So that is the evolution of sherwani. It is something like a kurta. Look at the pattern of the collar. Look at the cloth which is used, then the design also. The second one has got some self design, self patterns it has got. The first one is really very simple with long sleeves. All of them have got long sleeves, and it is not very gaudy like the sherwani. Sherwani is really gaudy. You can wear it for a simple occasion and also for a very festive occasion. There are different types of sherwani. Earlier it was not like that. The first one was very simple, and the pattern is very, very different, almost like a frock. Like, can you see the mid stitching which is given there, and then there is a cut? The middle one is more like the kurta that the gents wear now. It is very familiar. And then from there we have got the sherwani, like, which is more like thick, and it is having that gaudy nature. That the shiny part will also be there. The cloth will also vary, right? So this is how it evolved. Thus, the chapkan, a long buttoned coat, it was called as a long buttoned coat, was considered the most suitable dress for men. So that was the first. That was how it started. Everything started from the chapkan.